So, good afternoon, guys, and welcome to another live market overview. I'm joined today by Bilo, the former bear, and our guest presenter, Harry Sharpe from TradeSharpe. Make sure you follow his channel, which is on YouTube as well. He does quite a lot of Forex videos, and he really knows his stuff, as you'll find out if you weren't already listening last week. Good afternoon, guys.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition. Happy to have everybody here. Welcome, Harry. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll start off as we normally do, just by going over what's happened over the past few months with Bitcoin. We've seen this beautiful rise all the way up to the 64 something mark. This ended in an ending wave diagonal. We had some bearish divergences that everybody ignored because everybody was high on hopium. This culminated with an Elon tweet. This culminated in an Elon tweet. The China FUD, the IRS news, along with the bearish divergence, sent Bitcoin in a tumble, ABC down to the 30K level. Since then, we were in a channel, which we've likened to the accumulation channel in a Wyckoff accumulation. And this year, on the 22nd of June, was the low volume sell-off, and this would have been the start off of a new wave. So this would be 0, 1, 2, and so on. Since then, and while we were inside of this channel, we have repeatedly, I think, as crypto society, been bullish more than bearish, and have advised on several occasions that we don't think we'd be going down much more. We put together some parameters to measure whether we would continue on the upside or not. These parameters were the 200 EMA on the 4-hour chart, which we've come over, the 200 EMA on the daily, and then the 42,000 level, which is the previous wave 3 level, which had to be retested, which was retested not long ago or close to. And then finally, the 200 simple moving average, which we have flirted with here in the middle of August, gone above, tested a few times, and then recently went below, and are currently testing it again as a resistance. So it's currently acting as a very clear resistance point for BTC, and so we'll be keeping an eye on this, as it is quite important. Macro perspective-wise, the charts do look good. And the reason I say that is because when you look at the moving averages, and these are the exponential moving averages, the blue one, the red one, and the yellow one, these are the 50, the 100, and the 200 exponential moving averages, and they're all currently in the correct order. So this is a bullish sign. There are no death crosses at the moment on the daily to talk about when it comes to these major exponential moving averages. As long as we stay above these zones, and as long as we make it back up above the 200 simple moving average sometime soon, I think that there is more continuing to the upside, and this is just a normal retrace after this wave up. And when you look at the retrace and you put it into perspective, guys, it's for sure people get scared, and you look at the fear greed index, the fear index goes up. But just to put things into perspective, we're still here. We didn't even make it to 50% retracement. So this is quite healthy. This is needed in a market in order for there to be a continuation to the upside. Otherwise, there's no new money that comes in, and the market gets exhausted. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still bullish and looking to break above this 200 simple moving average sometime soon. Until we do that, we put out a post towards the end of August saying that Bitcoin is actually in a good place, not so much just for itself, but for the rest of the market. And the reason we're saying that is because once Bitcoin is stable in a range, what we end up seeing, and we've seen this time and time again, is the market, the alt market rallies. So end of August, we put out a post saying that since we have so much support beneath Bitcoin, we weren't too concerned with an ultimate, flash crash kind of thing that happened last time. That yes, it could go down because we had seen some bearish divergences, but that there was significant support below us to kind of, you never guarantee, but I'll use the word guarantee. In this case, that Bitcoin would not do one very fast stumble down back to the the previous channel we were in, to the 28s and the 30s, like a lot of people were saying, and that we would see some stability purely because we had all these supports below us. And I didn't see us going above much higher because of the bearish divergences. So this is what bought us, in my opinion, in our opinion, a period where we could predict that Bitcoin would just be within a range that would buy some stability, which would hence give the alt market a push. And this is exactly what's happened. We've seen a lot of the alt market coins do some insane gains over the past few weeks. And we expect for the time being, the market to continue to do so and the alt market to continue to do well because Bitcoin really seems to be stable for now. I mentioned this, guys, because all this information is discussed during these live TA sessions, but they're also discussed in detail, at length, and with a lot of explanations in our TA channel in Crypto Society. So make sure to subscribe. Make sure to read the content that's there. A lot of work goes into it. We collaborate as a team to put out that content, and therefore the odds are that it's not just one person's opinion, but rather than a group opinion. So I think we've been pretty good so far, have a decent track record, and so I suggest you guys follow and keep up with the content that we're putting out there. We've also made some decent predictions when it came to a few other projects. One of them, which is a favorite of ours, is Solana. Solana, guys, I mean, aside from the fact that we've been talking about it here and saying this is a place to buy, somewhere around here when it was at $60, we put out several targets in advance. We said that Solana was going to visit 80, and then 115, and then 150, and then 205. And these are targets that you could see in the TA channel. And guys, I know it sounds like a little bit showing off here, but it's not the case. We just want you to subscribe to our TA channel because we put a lot of effort into it, and we feel that you guys will definitely gain by being a part of this channel and learn something. And you can even suggest, and we can chart for you the coins that you would like to see.
And likewise,
so again,
also, sorry, Bilo, likewise,
Yep,
also following Harry's channel will yield some great results too, because he really does provide some great educational content.
Absolutely. So when it comes to Solana, guys, the target we had put for the last target in the TA channel, which was put in sometime towards the end of August, was between 205 and 215 specifically as a last target. So we made it to 216. So this was pretty good in terms of targeting, and we're currently, according to a wave count, an Elliott wave count, in an ABC correction. So if we zoom in and take a look at Solana from a wave point of view, this would be the wave ABC that's happening. It's too soon to tell if this was wave A and this is wave B. It's really too soon to tell. You would have to kind of go into smaller time zones and time frames, and try to make a wave count. So this would possibly be like 1, 2, 3, but then it just screws up. So I'm not comfortable to tell you right now, based on the information that I have, if we are still in wave A or if we've done a wave B and are coming back down to wave C. But needless to say, one thing I can say, and it's purely based on fundamentals in this case, not on TA, Solana is, when you just compare Solana's market cap to that of Ethereum's, when we were talking about it last time, we were somewhere here. We're currently now at 178. And I'm just going to go over to CoinGecko, just so we can take a quick look and you guys can kind of see the thought process behind this. Please confirm to me that you see my screen in CoinGecko.
Yes, you can.
Perfect. So Solana's sitting here and Ethereum's sitting here. So just comparing market caps, I mean, without getting into too much of fundamental analysis on the difference between the two projects, if you believe, like I do, that Solana is at the very least equal competition to Ethereum, well, then right now, Ethereum is at 19 and Solana is at 13, at 3. very simple math will yield that there's at least another 6x for Solana from where we are today to reach Ethereum's market cap. But that's assuming that Ethereum doesn't grow on market cap. So if Ethereum simply doubles, which is not a hard thing to expect over the next year, well, then the target for Solana is easily between 6 and 12x. Just from a fundamental perspective, guys, there are these projects that you can TA, you can do wave counts, you can analyze, and it's great. And there's nothing wrong with it. We're TA guys. But sometimes the fundamentals are so much stronger. And it's the kind of thing that you just invest in because you know that it's happening and you know that it's going in the right direction. Solana summer, Solana season, the hype, the NFTs, the speed of the blockchain, the ease at which you can make transactions versus Ethereum, it is going to make it. I have zero doubt in my mind. And the worst case scenario is a 6x. That's assuming Ethereum doesn't make it any further, which I don't believe, because Ethereum will improve on what it does. The gas problem is what holds back Ethereum. So it'll improve. So if you look at Solana and you say, okay, 6x from here, well, guys, we're talking about a $1,000 coin and $178. So I don't want to say any more, but I think it's pretty obvious. The next coin I'd like to discuss just quickly, because we've brought it up a few times, is Moon River. We've been bringing up Moon River for some time, ever since we've had the Kusama parachain auctions, and we've been suggesting you guys look into it. So Moon River, you could go back and read up on it, but essentially it's Moon River to Moonbeam, which is not out yet. The Glimmer token is Kusama to DOT. So it's Moon River is Moonbeam's canary network, right? So if you understand what Kusama's relationship is to DOT, it's exactly the same thing when it comes to Moon River and Moonbeam. They are independent chains. They're not test nets. They are just deployed faster, and there's mistakes that will be made, but it's cheaper and a lot faster to deploy on Moon River than it is, because Moonbeam is not out yet also, but than it is and will be even in the future to deploy on Moonbeam. So don't mistake it for a test net. It's actually it's a parachain, and it's I mean, just look at these beautiful waves. The all-time high has been 495, and just look at the time. I mean, just let me find the date. So it made it from $100 to $500 in 6 days, guys. 6 days. For sure, I'm not going to tell you that I predicted $500. I didn't. But I did think it was going to do very well. A lot of us did. Purely, again, from a fundamental analysis perspective and the amount of attention and hype they got during the parachain auctions. This is an FA result, a purchase resulting from FA more than it is a purchase resulting from TA. But if we do want to look at the TA here, having my waves starting here, my wave count starts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So obviously here we're currently in an ABC. So here again, this is a thing where it becomes a little bit tricky to determine where we are in terms of the ABC, because if we go into, let's say, even smaller time frame, you always want to see the ABC to be a lot clearer. So here, if this was ABC, well, now we're continuing a brand new cycle. But it's too soon to know if this was ABC. The only time we'll know that this was the end of wave C is if we break above the 493, which we haven't yet. So all I could say here, guys, is anything below 400, we dipped below 400 yesterday, and we did make a few announcements in the channel that anything below 400 was a buy. I recommend, again, that this is a buy, because this, if worst case scenario, this being the ABC, well, you'll see that, let's say from where we are right now, if this was A and this is now B and we're heading back down, let's look at it from a worst case scenario perspective. Well, this is A, this is B. So we're talking back to maximum the top of wave 3, which is 348 before we continue back up from a TA perspective. This discounts completely all the FA and all the hype that surrounds this token. I personally think we're going to continue up from here because I think this could have been the ABC right here, and now we're in a brand new wave. But I'm not sure, to be fair. So we'll have to see what happens. But again, I suggest, and it's this fine line we always say, not financial advice. Do your own research, but I suggest if any buys below 400 would be good buys, given what's happening with this project and where it's going to continue. Another project we've been keeping an eye on is Kadana. Sometimes when you're doing Elliott wave analysis, it's difficult to choose your starting point, and your starting point is more a trial and error until you find the wave count that fits all the different rules that come with Elliott wave. So in this case, I've chosen this wave count after trying out different ones, and this is the one that works. And there's a lot of confluence around this wave count. And I'm looking for a buy for Kadana in this region, 1.48 down to 1.36. I will be accumulating Kadana if we reach that green box right here. Starting with 1.5, let's say, just because sometimes whales are tricky and they'll know that people are waiting for this Fibonacci level and they'll kind of pump it right before. So I would start buying all the way from 1.5 down. That's just my strategy and what I'm looking to do. When it comes to parachain auctions, guys, I mean, now it's too late, but we also discussed Kilt. We suggested before Kilt was closed that you guys look up Kilt. Kilt won the 6th slot, and it's another project that Crypto Society has been following for some time. And good news is, and hope you're excited as we are, we're going to be having another AMA with Kilt in the next few weeks. So we'll get an update from them with the CEO, Ingo Rube. We'll get an update from those guys and see where they're headed. But again, very big things coming for Kilt. And I forgot to mention, but we'll also be having a second AMA with Moonbeam on the, I believe it's the 23rd of September. I'm just going to make sure here. Yeah, 23rd of September, not this Thursday, the Thursday after. And we'll definitely be asking them about Moon River and focusing on where they are going to take that project. Keeping in mind that Moon River is 100% community owned, definitely the team have tokens and there is some influence, but the idea behind Moon River is that the community, based on governance and staking, decide where the project goes. But as I said, the Moonbeam Foundation is behind it as well, and I'm sure we'll have some very good guidance and answers to some questions that I honestly can't wait for that AMA to happen. I don't know if any of you have looked at Akala, Karura more specifically. So Karura was the first winner, I believe, if not the second, I'm not quite sure, but either the first or the second winner of the Kusama Parachain auctions. And that's another one that's, you know, it's not doing as good as Moon River, but I mean, it's doing quite well. There's been a lot more effort on marketing over the past few days. I'm seeing Karura pop up more and more on Telegram, on Twitter and such, and this is helping. Not to say that they need marketing, because it is a very good project. Again, it's something I urge you to read up on and learn about. I don't know as much about Karura as I do as I would like, but it's something that I started reading about, and definitely will be keeping my eyes on Karura. From a TA perspective, I would say that we're sorry there, my chart is going a bit nuts. From a TA perspective, just based on Elliott wave, because now we're in price discovery, I would say this is a 1, and we're now kind of going up in wave 3. And if we had to just see where we would be able to reach in terms of targets, right now we're sitting at the perfect ideal target of a wave 3, which is 1.618, that of wave 1-2. Doesn't mean we'll stop there. There's not much to talk about in terms of divergences so far. Because here, don't look at everything to the left, because the divergences were erased as of here. So technically, we don't really have any bearish divergences to speak of. So aside from going into oversold regions, target of 1.618 for wave 3 off of wave 1-2 is textbook. Doesn't mean we can't go higher. So it's a thing of if you're in it and you've bought and you want to just basically take a little bit of profit, this would be a good area to take it. 1.618 is definitely where you will see a bit of a sell-off, and it's happening as we see it because of that top wick right here. I wouldn't sell it. I would just maybe take a little bit of profit if you're in Karura. Cardano, we were talking about it also over the past few weeks. The hard fork is a seldom used event, as it seems to be. I personally sold my Cardanos last week, and not because I don't believe in Cardano, not because I think Cardano's not a good project or that it's not going to do well, but it's purely from a perspective of I'm trying very hard, and I mentioned this last time as well. I'm trying to put my money in projects that'll give me multiples faster than others. Cardano will go up. I have zero doubt that Cardano will reach $4, $5, $6 eventually, but it's going to take a lot more time for Cardano to do a 2x than it will for other projects that we're discussing here to do a 5x. So from that perspective, and from that perspective only, I'm looking to get rid of the projects that are not going to give me that multiple and go into projects that will. I did the same thing with Ocean. Ocean's a project, and I'll do a mea culpa here. Even though I constantly suggest take profits and don't marry a project, I was married to Ocean, and I love the project. I love the team. I love the work they do. Just unfortunately, from a purely from a financial perspective, it's been pretty stagnant. I didn't get rid of all my Oceans, but I did sell some, and it was a big move because I've been married to it for over a year, and I made some profit, but not the kind of profit I could have made holding other projects that I've done 100x, obviously. So it's the sort of thing you guys as traders want to ask yourselves. Why am I holding a project? What's the reason? Is it because I think it's going to do 100x, or is it because I like the tech and I just want to support it? I mean, everybody has their reasons, and there's no wrong reason. But I think be honest with yourselves and figure out why you're holding a project. And sometimes you'll see that maybe you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I know I was. I'll leave a little bit of room for Pumpeye and Harry and anybody else who wishes to share or speak a little bit. I think I'd like to hear from you guys. Anybody?
And for me, Harry, for the next week on, the main thing, though we aren't invested as highly in it in BTC, what do you see for the next week now that the leverage cascade is finished?
For sure.
Would you
So
like
I'll
to
share my
your chart,
screen.
Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll share my screen here, and let me know once you can see it.
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, sweet. So I trade price action, and I just use pure support, resistance, and candles. So basically we popped out of here and we had a fake out. And do you remember what I was showing you last week, guys? Remember I said when we have a fake out and the candle comes back in the range, we have a 85% chance of filling the whole range.
Yes.
And if this is your bottom of the range, here's your whole range fill, right? So that always seems to play out pretty well, to be honest. And I like to see how it filled basically. I mean, we got this wick down here, and for me, the way this dropped here, this is obviously a very, very heavy selling position that is obviously manipulating the market to grab some liquidity to the downside here. Hence why we see that quick buyback, right? And then we have some forced selling being done by other traders and people who are holding, who probably got in around this area when they thought Bitcoin, this would be a good accumulation area, are now getting a bit scared with price and push the price a little bit lower. So we have to understand that in terms of an order book perspective, because that's what's going to move the markets, is what orders are being placed on the order books, and market makers. And unfortunately the market makers in crypto is not really regulated, so we can get these quick moves, right? But whoever's been in crypto for a while should know that you have to kind of get used to it. We got that play that I was also talking about last week, that when a candle stalls and when it broke the high, we were speaking about it just before, that we should see an impulse move. We did get a nice move. I did trade this move. So it was a 4% move. I opened the position when the candle did close in this above this area here, and when I saw that the candle closed right above this resistance. So I mean, as a trader, you know, a 5% move is pretty legit, right? So you can definitely be all right on that move. I wasn't expecting, I was actually expecting price to continue up a lot further, at least to 53, you know, but you could argue that it was a retest. And Bitcoin, you'll notice this, guys, Bitcoin really likes to test only wicks, not really bodies, right? So if we notice that, it did test that wick and boom, it came back down. And if you notice, you know, in the past, where Bitcoin really, when it comes down to retesting, especially on the lower time frames, we normally see it retest some wicks, right? So similar here, we never get the body test. We get the test will come back on the wick, right? So we see that, boom, wick to wick, perfectly tested, right? And that's something I noticed with Bitcoin. So for me personally now, I've seen that more than enough now to now start taking, you know, more caution and more buying perspectives and selling perspectives based on wicks, not on candle bodies when it comes to Bitcoin, because it likes to do that. Now, in terms of what's happening over the week, we'll start on the weekly time frame, which is closing today. I'll get a cleaner chart here so we can mark this up clean. And yeah, so looking at the weekly time frame here, we can see we have a range, right? There's a clear range here. This is the lows of the range on a weekly time frame, looking at some old support down here, right? But what I don't like is that Bitcoin is obviously taking out the lows. And this is something that we haven't seen for a very long time, right? And looking from a price action TA perspective, you see this is a low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. This is a higher low as well that was considered, and we were in a higher low until this move came and now made a lower low, right? But you have to understand that weeklies do have pullbacks, and when weeklies do make pullbacks, you know, we do expect, you know, there to be some sort of pullback and continuation if we are going to continue with this uptrend. So how do we know if we're going to continue the uptrend? Well, first of all, we need to look at structure on the lower time frame. So we go down to the daily, right? So the daily structure, you can see there's this clear level of support here, right? And to be honest, this is really the bottom of the range right here at that 44K. And as long as we're remaining above that, all we've basically done is a fake out. We filled the range, and now we need to create that support at the bottom of the range without breaking it, because there's always the possibility, you know, that price will make a lower high and come down and break, you know, the bottom of the range here, and people will get caught out in that quite easily. So now what you do with your charts is you mark your charts up in clear ranges, right? And you trade based on that. So obviously now we've made our first higher high on the daily, which is looking good for some continuation coming into next week. But anyways, here's the bottom of the range here, and I'm actually going to call it here. If we do break below 44.5, I do think we would see some downside movement. Then we can see here we have a resistance level right here, and then really our next resistance is up here, right? You can count this as tested, to be honest, because price has already come and tested around this area, and here's your wiki area, right? So for me personally, if we look at 4-hour time frame, I just need to check this. Yeah, for me personally, I want to move this up. Even though daily is there, I want to see a daily candle close above that 4-hour range, right? And that will give me immediate confidence that, all right, we've broken out of the range. You know, it's very simple to look at it like this. We close below this range here, we're going to head down 42K, bounce at 42K, and it's not really looking the best, to be honest. But we have to analyze from there. I mean, once we get down into 42K, you know, 38 is not out of the question. You know what I mean? But that hasn't happened yet. So what we are, you know, what I expect to happen is, like, you know, we could get a fake out. Bitcoin loves to do a fake out, and that's why I always want to, you know, it did a fake out on the upside. I'm pretty sure it might probably do it on the outside. And you can see these wicks. These have all been stop hunting leverage positions now. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, Bitcoin, it probably might give us a fake out, and that's something that we always have to be cautious about. So I'm not going to call a reversal until we get a closure below and some sort of retest and then come down, right? Because yeah, Bitcoin is just prone for fake outs. But now let's take it, looking at the bullish case, right? So bullish case, we close above this area here. We have a clean candle to the left. I don't see why not. Price can continue up here to 49,000. Makes sense to me. But as we know, Bitcoin likes to test wicks, so people will expect it to come up to the next resistance. But Bitcoin could reject off this wick here at 48,000. And a gift for Bilo, I will just take that on a Fibonacci and see, if that makes any sense. And, the wick, yeah, I mean, the wick really is not giving us anywhere on a Fibonacci, but, you wouldn't consider, normally your retest zone is between here and here traditionally. But for me, just looking at price action based, I do think that if we do break out of this, then we could. But it seems like
Harry,
we're putting
take your fib down to the lowest, to the bottom wick.
Yeah. If we do wick to wick, then the 618 is coming to that resistance that I was saying based on price action.
Yeah.
And the 0.5, basically in that area. But to be honest, if I think, if Bitcoin wants to reject, it will probably show weakness in this area here, right? That's where it's going to show weakness, and you'll probably see it come up and then come back down. But Bitcoin will normally always make a lower high before breaking down, right? But what makes me, if for me to get bullish is you have to look at this in a range, right? So if we look at the daily here, this is your range 1. So range 1 is where you're susceptible to fake outs. And your range 2, we were explaining this last week, is actually where you will normally find that you get the continuation. So breaking back into this range, I think Bitcoin will give you the official guarantee that Bitcoin, nothing's guaranteed, but this will give you, a strong case for Bitcoin to continue up back into the 60K, after this correction here. But looking at the 4-hour, there is an uptrend coming, which I can see here, low, high, lower high, and now we make a higher high. So that's nice to see, to be honest. I do want to see it, start to pop up based on momentum. There's not a lot, there's not a lot happening on momentum. And last week we discussed about how our momentum indicator and volatility indicator was flawed here. And we did get expansion, and I said this volatility, the problem with this volatility indicator is it's direction neutral. So the daily just got started picking up as soon as that dump came. So still there's not a lot of volatility in the markets, and we can see that Stokes now have a chance to cross up. I would ideally like to see Stokes cross up. That would give me more confidence as for this daily, and probably based on this daily, the daily would have to close above this resistance here. So what's interesting is we have CME, which is open now. So we can have a quick look at where is CME. So CME should be opening. What time is it? It opens.
It's not open yet.
Yeah, we open, I think, 8 o'clock my time or something. But be interesting to see how CME opens and what CME does to the price. Of course, weekend price action is not always great. But what I can basically wrap up my thoughts with and make this very, very simple is that Bitcoin is ranging, right? And as long as we're holding these lows here, there's no issues for Bitcoin. The 12-hour closed, and the 12-hour closed quite well here. But the only issue is that, we've tapped this resistance here, right? 12-hour does look like it does want to start to turn up momentum, which we can see pretty clearly here. Ideally, this next 12-hour, I need to see close above 46,000. If that 12-hour closes above 46,000, you're going to pop the daily above this area. And if the daily is popping above this area, if you look on the 4-hour time frame here, this will just continue the uptrend, and then hopefully we can get into a nice breakout, and then we can start trending upwards. So for people on Bitcoin now, you need to have you need to try and understand where you are in the market. And where we are in the market is we're stuck in a range, and there's no point of making any decisions now. If you were to say what directional bias you have, I need to see the weekly close. Looking at the daily has closed bullish at support and is making a higher high. So this, based on that, is giving me a slight bullish bias. And this is a simple trick for anyone trying to find out direction, is we bring out a box like this. So, and we put W for weekly, and we know the weekly is bearish, right? We put D for daily, and we know the daily is actually bullish here. And we put 4 hour, and the 4 hours in an uptrend, so we can put that as also bullish, right? And then the 1 hour is also, and I mean, that's enough, right? So if we even, let's include the 1 hour, and the 1 hour is also bullish at the moment, right? Because we can see if we go on a 1 hour here, we can see, yeah, we're making higher highs and higher lows. So here's a little bit of a ranging, but this is just before CME open. But as I said, keeping it on the 4 hour here and using what I said is, if you look at your bias here, well, we have 1 bearish time frame and 3 bullish time frames. So that automatically increases your bias here to, something more bullish. But for the bearish case, because I always like to give a bearish case, there's definitely, a case where Bitcoin can break down from here. And I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't, because classic, if we look at the past cycles of Bitcoin, when we've had a dump like this, it has done a huge retrace of like 100% and then come down and, made a lower low. And, just popping this on a weekly on the line chart, it's not looking the best, right? If I show you something like this, right? So if I show you something like this, we've established we have a lower low on the weekly here, and could this be at the start of the lower high, right? But that will all be populated, of course, on the lower time frames. So we take it day by day, especially at trading as a price action trader. If you look at the daily time frame, it does look like it wants to turn up from here. So we have to, of course, there is the levels that you have to keep in mind, and it's very, very, very simple, right? You have the ranges, you just wait for anything to happen within those ranges, right? So very, very simple. I don't see any point for people to for me, this is quite simple. And the ranges are clear here, 46.5, I would say, to the upside, and towards the downside, 44.5. If we're, below that, again, remember this area, because of this wick here, is going to be very susceptible to fake outs, right? But we'll just have to see how that goes. It's pretty simple. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Harry. Pumpeye, would you like to share anything?
I've been a little bit busy sharing our stream everywhere, so I haven't prepared any charts, I'm afraid. Sorry.
That's okay. That's not a problem.
So,
what are your views on Ethereum, Harry?
Ethereum, let's have a look at Ethereum. I haven't looked at it. So if we go here, do I have a clearer chart? Jesus, that's even worse. I don't clear my charts. Well, let me make this chart full fresh. So weekly time frame, again, same, rejecting this perfectly, right? I mean, a little bit of a fake out, to be honest, but I wouldn't consider that. That's a rejection to me. Daily time frame, again, holding the lows, similar to Bitcoin here. That's a range to me. This looks more bullish than Bitcoin, to be honest. 12 hour. Yeah, it looks the same as Bitcoin, really. We have the exact same. People are going to call this a head and shoulders.
I was just about to say that. could be an ugly head and shoulders.
The volume. I mean, you could, if you see the trick with the head and shoulders, I don't really use patterns, but just for people who use head and shoulders, you need to understand how they work. If you just see a head and shoulders in the chart, it won't work. You need to see a volume spike on the left shoulder, volume spike on the head, and then we want to see another volume spike on the right shoulder. If you don't see that, if you just see it flat, that's not going to be a valid head and shoulders, right? You need to see 3 volume spikes for actually a head and shoulders to work. But me trading simple price action, at the end of the day, it's exactly the same thing. Is your range is here to the downside at 2.9, break below your range. That's it, simple. You're coming down to probably around this area here, around 2.6. But looking at momentum on, we do have 12 hours is up on Ethereum, so that's more bullish biased. Again, it's looking very similar to Bitcoin. The ranges are a bit different here. We had this pump, but this type of pattern, let me even go lower time frames. See, again, this can catch a lot of people out because this is, let me see, 4 hour. Yeah, this is not a confident uptrend because this would just be, I'll show you this. This is a range. That's your range. Here's the breakout of the range. So you haven't made a 4-hour uptrend. A 4-hour uptrend actually comes above 3.5. So really this could just roll over and continue down or retest and give us that 4-hour uptrend. So we have to wait for that, but we have the levels to the downside. The markets need a bit of time, to be honest. I don't think that this resolution is going to happen anytime soon.
So can we say that we're of the same mind, Harry, is that we have some stability ahead of us for the short term?
Well, if the ranges hold, you know what I mean? So I think like if the ranges break, you'll probably see a quick move down to 42K on Bitcoin. If the ranges break to the upside, you'll see a quick move to 48K.
You think a wick or actually a move?
A move. You'll see a move to 48K, and then the decision will be made. Any signs of weakness at 48 to 49K, any signs, bearish divergence, bearish candle closures, will look extremely bad for Bitcoin, because then that means that we're putting in a lower high on the higher time frames. And then we probably, once we come back into the lower range, we'll probably break through it. 75% chance you'll break through that range, and we'll continue lower. Any signs of us getting into that range 2 breakout, which I established here. So this is your range 1. If we're getting into range 2, which is anything above 49, I'll call it anything above 49.3. Any closures, I would say on a 12-hour time frame in that area, I think we continue to 60. But again, if you're looking at this as a trading perspective, it's not very useful to be opening a position here. So this is what I'll recommend, right? But this is not financial advice, of course. In this area, when Bitcoin's ready, it will be ready. I do think we do get a move up first, right? If Bitcoin wants to dump, it will dump tomorrow, right? Based on CME opening. But, there is the chance that it can dump down, but I think that might be a fake out on the first instance. It's going to be in a very...
I personally don't see it dumping. I could see a fake out similar to the one that just happened.
Yeah.
But based on everything that I'm seeing, I see more of a stability within this bottom range that you have here. This is what I see. I see Bitcoin ranging in this range here that you have between 44 and 47.
I think we do get a push out first, though. I think maybe we range here maximum for another week max.
That's it. Yeah, short time frame. A short time frame.
Yeah. Short time frame indeed. But I think before anything happens, traditionally, I would want to see Bitcoin come up first, just based on this liquidity, because you have to understand the buyback pressure here. There's a lot of accumulation in this area here, right? If Bitcoin does want to continue down, you see what happens is based on an order book perspective, people have to bring the price up, and then, which is going to create the liquidity to push the price back down. You can't just continue the price dumping from here without, like, it's hard to do so. You normally see continuation immediately. I mean, if we look at the dump that happened, you always saw that you had these moves up, grab liquidity, push down, grab liquidity, push down. You saw we had the wick, then we went up before pushing down.
Like we were saying last week, this is on a small time frame, looks very similar to the accumulation we saw back in April.
Yeah.
This is a small time frame, but if you compare it and you just compare this to what happened in April, it looks very, very similar.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, for me, I would like to see a move up and then the decision gets made. Mr. Bitcoin wants to, come back down, or Mr. Bitcoin wants to immediately go and close above 49K. If it does that, then I think we can continue immediately. But what I do think is that we will see an upside move first.
Harry, I think we mentioned it last time. I don't recall specifically. Did we talk about BTC dominance with you last time?
Yeah, we did.
And your thoughts were, can you TA BTC dominance, or is it more a picture into what's happening? Do you believe in TAing BTC dominance?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It seems to play out. So that this was my target we set last week, 39% coming soon. And we can see it's on its way to do that. It's a clear downtrend. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to see this. you have higher lows and, lower highs and lower lows. You look at the shorter time frames, look like we did want to bottom out here, but now it's even going lower. And I think as soon as we take out this wick, which is pretty close, I do think that my target should be hit here at 39. But at 39, I do expect a good bounce in Bitcoin dominance. I will put that out, that I do expect at least a very solid bounce. Similar, to where you see in this full accumulation. Of course, it's not going to be accurate to the T because this is not, TA. It's a metric, but you could see in this region in the past, right, where price really rocketed up, we did get a reaction, but it just made a lower high. But I really think that this could be a bottoming area for Bitcoin dominance to continue up.
So it would make sense for Bitcoin dominance to continue down because we are seeing a move towards alts, right? So
I think Bitcoin dominance should continue down. But I think once we reach my target down here, I think we will see a move up. You know what I mean? I think that's what I'm saying.
So this is like the chicken and the egg, okay? Because so I'm of the mind that Bitcoin dominance is more of an indicator into what's happening in the market versus something to TA. But then again, I always say that if enough people use a particular tool for whatever reason to make their decisions, it becomes meaningful. So if enough people look at Bitcoin dominance and say, when it hits 39, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. If enough people do that, then obviously it becomes more and more meaningful.
I agree.
But to be honest, I have a hard time with the concept that Bitcoin dominance should be TA'd and decisions made upon using that. Because if Bitcoin dominance hits lows, well, it just means that there's more people buying alts than Bitcoin. So why is Bitcoin dominance hitting a low going to result in people deciding, unless they just do and there's no explanation, but why would you decide to buy Bitcoin when it's at 39 dominance?
It's not that. I think it's based on market cycles, to be honest. at the end of the day, who's moving Bitcoin the most is, institutions and stuff like this. And I think they use this. It's just the reaction you've seen off the past. You normally see a reaction in the future, right? And see, it's similar to here. We saw the reaction, but the reaction had no continuation. Same thing could happen here. I'm saying that there should be a big bounce, but that doesn't mean that I can't put in a lower high, right? So at the end of the day, I'm saying there should be a reaction here. And if I knew the answer of why the reaction was to happen, if it was people buying, then I would buy too because I would be profitable, right? But that's not how it works. But just based on back testing of the little knowledge we can back test on Bitcoin dominance, you can see, once, it gets to certain regions, like in this area where we saw a bounce up, it started bouncing, accumulating. When we break below these major levels, it starts to fall, and you can just see that this was a pretty massive bounce here, right? And, this was in 19th of May. So let's see what happened in 19th of May.
This is the 1.618 extension. That's what it is.
Where's
this
19th?
is the ABC. Go to the left. That's the wick down from the all-time high all the way down. That's the ABC. It's the end of wave C.
19th.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah,
end of
right
wave C.
there. So again,
the leaders as well. I was just going to say that the lead for the dominance, just to remind people, is it doesn't mean Bitcoin's going up in price. It just means that it is a bigger share of the market.
Exactly. That's why I have a hard time with the concept of TAing it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see I have one line on it, but I'm just saying I just expect a bounce. That bounce doesn't mean price, but I mean, last time Bitcoin got down here, it did have some sort of bounce, Maybe because you just have to, it's a lot of factors. It depends how, if people, people might see it and like, oh, Bitcoin dominance is low, I'm going to take profit on alts and put it in Bitcoin. You might see that perspective, but there's all different perspectives. And at the end of the day, as my trading rules and the way I look at the market is I don't try forecast. I trade what's in front of me, and forecasting, it's at the end of the day, it's making a guess. I like to give ideas, but when it actually comes to taking a trade, I see what's in front of me and I make an estimation, and until Bitcoin gets out of this range, it's not going to do anything, right? Bitcoin stays in this range, it's going to go this way. As soon as it goes either to the upside or to the downside, then we can take action on based on that movement, right? Bitcoin
Makes
comes to
sense.
the X. Yeah. So that's how I trade.
Nice, Harry.
So yeah, I think that's what I have to share today. I have to hop off,
Awesome.
unfortunately. Need to make some food.
We appreciate
And
your time, Harry. It's very nice to have you with us.
thank you. I appreciate you guys allowing me to hop on. And
It's a
I
pleasure.
wish you the best in the rest of your meeting. Whoever who's
Thank you.
watching this live on YouTube, please make sure to like and subscribe, because support the YouTube algorithm for their YouTube channel. So make sure to like the video for them.
Thank you, Harry.
All right, take
Cheers,
care.
Harry.
Guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers, Harry. Enjoy the F1.
It's finished.
Oh no!
I watched it. It finished a while ago, so it was okay.
So you got. So I said that you don't need to stay on so long, and you can go and enjoy the F1, and then you've got carried away. And
It actually finished just as Bilo finished his explanation. So
Who won?
McLaren.
Nice.
It's been so long. Daniel
Ricardo. Yep.
Yes.
And Norris in second.
Yeah, double
Nice.
McLaren. Pretty good. Anyways, I'll leave you with TA, not F1. So
Take
take
care,
care,
Harry.
guys.
Cheers, Harry.
Take care,
Cheers.
brother.
Cheers.
All right, that was pretty cool. Do you guys have any charts you'd want me to look at?
So,
Seller network.
Oh
Seller.
yeah, that's a good one. I've been following Seller. Been doing very well. Up there, the second one down. Yeah, that's the one.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's take a look at higher time frames first. So this looks kind of exhausted at the moment from a volume perspective,
No.
but it's not fair to take a look at it because of this here. So it's not a very fair look. So we'll just go back down to daily levels.
That is a nice amount of volume, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, so we've had a wick off of here. So this region here has to get over, we have to get over this region. There are no bearish divergences right now to speak of at all. Whether it's here or here, honestly, is not such a big difference. This looks like it's going to just maybe retrace a little bit before it continues back on up. Not just because we see this ugly cup here, but because this here is a obviously wave.
This can continue up as much as it wants.
One,
Nice little bag of this.
2, 3, 4, 5. This is 3. We'll have a 4 and a 5. And just to see where these land, because they look like they land also pretty good at 1.618. You see that? That's pretty.
You've done
Pretty
this before,
accurate.
haven't you?
No, it just looks pretty good. So you know what? I would say that I would need to go into smaller time frames to see where we can have a bounce for wave 4. Even smaller.
Did you say that is the 1.618?
Yeah, it is. Exactly. It's exactly there, yeah. So it seems like a rough ride down if that was to happen, but this here would be a good spot to buy in. Not saying we'd get there, but I would buy it here.
I might have to take some profits then and buy back.
You're really bad at that, so you should start.
Would buy it here.
I don't know what you're talking about, Dave.
And let's just see, based on this last candle, where that leaves us with the retracement. Anybody want to guess? Look at that. So you have a lot of confluence for this zone, guys, as a buyback region.
Excellent.
If we look at market cipher A, it tells a different story. It says that we have bullish continuation. We do have a green buy here on this candle, the previous candle, and we're still showing bullish continuation. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how market cipher decides those things, but market cipher says we should continue up here. If I go into smaller time frames, same 15 minutes, we have a diamond and a sell.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on market cipher and the different time frames? What seems to have more impact?
I do tend to find that it's a lot more accurate on the longer time frames. So 1 hour, 4 hour, daily.
So on the 1 hour, let's just take as an example. This is continuation, right?
Yes. And there's
Just
no tiring
for me,
trend either. That blue that blue triangle earlier on, that represents a weakening of the trend, which we haven't seen yet. So you might find where that's
which blue triangle? Where do you see a blue triangle?
If you go a little bit further back on the chart.
Oh, here.
Yeah, that's showing a weakness of the trend. And then when that green dot follows it, if you then get if you get a red diamond after that blue triangle and the green dot, then that signifies a weakening of the trend, and the trend changes.
For me, if I forget about market cipher and the continuation, if I look at this just purely from the candle's perspective, this looks like a top. It looks like a local top. Just purely looking at the candles. So we'll see what happens, but to me, this looks like a local top. And it makes sense with the
fib level
extensions, because this is 1.618. And where I would buy back happens also to be the 0.618. So, I mean, it's a lot of confluence pointing to this right now. But really, there are no bearish divergences. So it's, we start looking for bullish divergences at this point as we're going down. And if we go on a 30-minute time frame, it's too soon to tell. If you go on a 15-minute time frame, if you were, let's say, leverage trading, you start to see some bullish divergences here as we're making a. I'll change the color as we're making a higher low. Excuse me. Here we're making a lower low. So definitely on a lower time frame, we see some bullish divergence, and we see this potential tweezer bottom. So although this was a local top, maybe the retracement won't be very deep, and we won't even get a chance to get down there based on the lower time frame. Too soon to tell on the higher time frames though. And like you said, the lower time frame is just for scalping. So
or for entries.
Or for entries, yeah. But too soon to say. One other thing that sometimes we can take a look at, let me just go back here. So this, yeah, no, it doesn't show up at all. There are no bearish divergences.
That's what we like to hear.
Yep. So we have to see what happens here, guys. This is the only chart at the moment, the only time frame you can monitor to see where we're going with this, to see if this bullish divergence gets erased or if it actually bounces here. On the 15-minute,
you mean we can't look at the 1 minute?
Oh, definitely. If you want to go nuts.
Okay, so next for you then, can we have a look at injective
Yes.
protocol?
Why did I know you would ask about that?
Oh, I haven't asked about that in absolutely ages.
I know, and then I'll stack one up straight after it for dot, because that looks like it's on a charge again.
All right, injective. Let me just remove this guy. Be gone. Okay. Nasty wicks. I really hate seeing those wicks. This is not a pretty.
That is very typical injective. Very, very typical. It does tend to spike up and then very quickly come back down again. I mean, I know there's a lot of traders that are in injective, so that could have something to do with it. But there's also quite a lot of VCs that are in it.
So we see very easily here why we went down, just from a simple bearish divergence perspective.
Yep.
On the daily. So now we've reset that, so we can forget about it. It's in the past. It's gone. It means nothing anymore. Going into lower time frames to see if there's something to look at. So far, I see nothing. Going to the 1 hour. Yep, not much. Not much. So all I could see here, Pumpy, is we're in range. That's all I could see for now. Similar to a lot of other projects. So we're in this range, and it's too soon to say if this is going to play out in the sense of hit for you to trade that. I would want to see what happens breaking out or breaking in. That's what I would be looking for right now. This is not in a trade zone for me personally. I don't see any signs.
Yep. I actually bought some on the dip when Bitcoin went down. This was my purchase on the dip, but then it just kept on dipping.
We'll move to dot. Is that what you want to see, Dave?
Yeah, please.
Here we go. So let's get to clean up this chart a little bit. So on the daily, we're still struggling with momentum for dot. If you just draw it more accurately, we're still struggling, as you can see, with momentum. So it would be important to break above this resistance here with RSI. We're making a move as we speak, which we still have 8 hours for this candle to close. But unless we close this candle with an RSI that is higher than get there. Unless we close today's candle with an RSI that's higher than here, this will go back down. And dot has been really good when it comes to bearish and bullish divergences. It's actually worked out more often than none. So it's nice. We're going up. We still have another 8 hours. So we're nowhere near being able to say that this is bearishly divergent yet. We have another 8 hours to go, but we need to see a lot more volume. And look at this volume down here. It's pitiful. Do you know which tool gives me a circle, just a quick circle without having to draw one?
Yeah, there is actually a circle.
There's Eclipse.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that the one? No,
Yep.
I'm just going to put a highlight here. I just want to draw attention to this here, okay?
That was an incredibly accurate circle, sir.
Not good. Damn it. Here we go. Here.
No, Polo.
Take a look at the volume here. Okay, I mean, these are nice candles, but there's just not that much volume. So we need to see the volume spike here if this is going to make it and continue on up. Again, this is the daily, so we have time. If we move on to the 4 hour, we're already breaking above resistance, which is nice. So you see here on the 4 hour, we're making it above resistance. You see it? We just need this to continue, because right now we're breaking above this resistance, even though we're made a lower, we're not higher than the previous high. I expect this to continue, and I expect this resistance to be clearly broken, and hopefully we follow through. Let's see what the 8-hour looks like. Obviously not there yet. Yeah. But right now it's looking good. Cautiously optimistic. Would want to see the daily close higher than this RSI level for things to turn ultra bullish on dot. Make sense?
What do you think about FET?
I love FET. Do I even have FET here? I should. No, I don't. Okay. FET. For some reason, it's not loading. Try that again. FET.
Computer says no.
I wonder why it's slowing down like this. Here we go. All right, FET. Look at that. I mean, wow. So we've made it above the all-time high. We were kind of all expecting a cup and handle. Didn't really do it because before we were able to retrace, and many people thought we would get a retrace of the all-time high. It just continued up, then went back down. So yeah, I would just look at this from a wave perspective. This would be wave 1, 2, and this would be 3, and this would be 4. No guarantees that 4 ended. So if we just do a simple wave count and see what that brings us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This kind of looks odd and non-conforming as it's quite parabolic. So we'll take a look where the wave 3 ends up being. I mean, look at that. It's over 5.618 extension. So normally when this happens, guys, is we get a stronger move to the downside. So we actually saw this happen already, 1.2 to 0.7. It was quite a strong move to the downside. And anytime you see a parabolic wave, the correction is normally hard. So if you look at the price range from here to here, it was a 36% drop. Not bad. If this drop is behind us, and I need to go into a lower time frame to see what we're looking at. So this looks like a very typical ABC. So it's fair to assume this was wave C, and now we're starting a new cycle. Well, not a new cycle. This is the start of wave 5 to the upside. And because it's clear, right? A, B, C. If this was 1, 2, 3, 4, it wouldn't work because you've gone beyond 1. So this would be a wave failure. So this is most likely an ABC right here. And if we were to see where the ABC is when it comes to the Fibonacci extensions, ideally, guys, ABC is a 1-to-1. It could be a 1 to 1.618 as well, like we saw in the May dump of Bitcoin. But ideally, it's a 1-to-1. So if this was here, and I'll just remove this so we can see, and I'll remove this as well. So this is where 1 is. It didn't even make it to 1. So 1 would have been right here. So I can't say for certain if wave C is complete. The only reason I think it's complete is because this here has exceeded wave 1 down. If this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 4 is not supposed to exceed wave 1 in Elliott wave theory. Therefore, there's more chances this was a completed ABC, and I just wanted to move on from there. Under that scenario, this would be the start of wave 1, right? Of wave 5. If anybody's lost, let me know, and I'll explain. So if this was 0, 1, 2, then we're looking for 3, 4, 5 as such. And remembering that the ideal target for a 1, 2, 3 is 1.618. This is how we target using Elliott wave. We would like to see wave 3 right here, and then wave 4 somewhere here, and wave 5 somewhere here. So without going into deep analysis, also wave 3 to 4 is going to be dragged out if this wave 2 is complete, because in Elliott wave theory, again, when the wave 2 correction is short, wave 4 will be dragged out and vice versa. So if this is over, and we'll see what happens from here, if this continues on up, I would be targeting about 1.28 for wave 3 and about 1.5 for wave 5. And that's it. This would be the target for FET before we start a new cycle. Right here.
Excellent. 145. Very nice.
This is what it would be. And so it would be nice to see if we actually do move up from here or not. And if we look at shorter time frames, just to see if we have any bullish divergences showing up. Not really. And if we look at the 4-hour back again and see here, we have the green buy signal, but we do have, no, there's nothing else. You were saying, Pumpy?
We also have a request for IOST, and any thoughts on the cup and handle? And Jake K also says, thank you very much for the great TA.
It's our pleasure, Bud. All right.
His TA is clearly better than his English speech.
All right. So, looking very nice. IOST is looking quite nice. If we go to the weekly, definitely a cup and handle at the moment. So, very nice cup and handle at the moment. We go to the daily, here's the handle. And if we want entry points, if we're looking for entry points, we'll always do something like first find the wave, first of all, see where the wave is. The wave looks like it's here. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if this is wave 5, I would want to see a retracement here. And it looks like this already retraced to 0.5, could supposedly retrace a little bit more. But there is a bullish divergence, excuse me. So I expect this to just go up from here. So this would be actually, as we speak, whoever asked the question, thank you for bringing it to our attention. This is actually a good point right now to get into IOST. I wouldn't wait.
Thanks, Jake.
Of course, manage your risk, stop loss. Don't leverage more than you can afford to lose. But from a TA perspective, this looks like it's going to go up from here.
Very nice. Plow into it, Bilo. We have a couple of fans of IOST in the group as well, don't we?
Yeah.
So if you're not already in our Telegram group, anybody that's watching, make sure you come and join Crypto Society. We're on Telegram. We have a very friendly group full of people that are more than happy to help, who generally know their stuff both on fundamental analysis and technical analysis. We've got a TA channel which will show you our charts and what we think is going to happen next, as well as this market overview. We've got an announcement channel for all of our fundamental analysis. We've got some great partnerships. We're also on Twitter and we're on Facebook, Instagram. Come and join us. Make sure to give the stream a like and a share so we get out to a few more people.
Thank you, everyone. Always a pleasure having you. See you next week. It's every Sunday, 4 p.m. CET. Same
Cheers,
time,
guys.
same place.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers,
Cheers,
Have
all.
a good week. Cheers, Dave.